to show you guys how to fully prepare your traps for trapping season. I've got two number 2 traps here, and when you buy these traps they always have a coat of oil on them. And the reason for that is so when you go to buy these traps, they're not rusted or anything like that. They always have a nice coating of oil to prevent rusting. Now, we are going to have to rust these traps eventually, and the reason for that is so we can put wax on or paint, and the paint or wax will cling to that rust and it'll stay on. Otherwise, if you didn't have that rust just come off, you could wipe it off probably. So there's different methods for getting the oil off of your traps. My favorite method is putting it on fire. It only takes a couple minutes, it burns that oil off, and then this trap is oil free. So we're going to go ahead and put these traps in the fire and burn all this oil off. Alright, I got a fire going here. I'm just going to grab my traps and put them on there just like that. I had some difficulties getting this fire going. It has been raining for a couple days, so all the wood's still wet. I had to find some dry wood, so it's still hot though. We're going to put the traps in there and keep stirring it around, try to get that fire a little hotter, and see if we can burn that oil off. Alright, I just got these traps out of the fire. The fire has died down, and these traps are completely oil free now. Just burned all that oil off, and the great thing about doing this method is that it darkens your traps while you're burning all this oil off. So I'm going to take these up to the house and start rusting them. Alright, I now have the traps ready for rusting process, and as you can see, the traps are already pretty darkened by the fire. There was some gunk on there. I just rinsed that off. And if you don't want all that black stuff on there, you can just wash it off, but it stays on there pretty well unless you scrape it off. So, you can either rust these traps 2 ways. You can either just let them sit in the rain or spray them, but they won't get rusted very fast like that. So what I've got here is I've got vinegar and water, just half vinegar and half water. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spray these traps down, and that'll make the rusting process much faster. So we're going to go ahead and spray these traps down. Just going to get that loosened up a bit. Alright, there we go. Now, you don't have to put too much on, because it'll start rusting in about an hour. And then you can probably leave it like that and go put it in the grass, or just hang it out in the rain, or do whatever you want pretty much. So, just gotta spray these traps down. Alright, we're good to go. We're just gonna hang them up and let them rust. Alright guys, it has been 2 days since I sprayed these traps down with water and vinegar, and they have a very nice coating of thin rust, and that's all you really want, is just a thin coating. It doesn't have to be thick or anything, but usually it takes 3 or 4 days for these traps to rust, and only took 2 days, so I'm really glad about that. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how I spray paint these things and what I use. Alright guys, I'm now going to spray paint these traps, and the reason you spray paint them, I think I already said this, is so they darken the traps, and when you set the traps, you put dirt over them, and say if a fox or coyote comes by and he kicks some dirt off, he doesn't see that trap. It's dark and it blends in with the other dirt. Anyhow guys, I'm going to go ahead and spray paint these traps, and for this I am using high heat Rust-Oleum spray paint. The spray paint works really well. It dries really fast on your traps. A lot of the other spray paints you spray on there and they don't dry for a couple hours. This dries almost instantly, so I've been shaking this up for a long while. You want to shake it up pretty well before you spray paint them, so it mixes up all the paint. Anyhow, you just want to try to get it pretty much everywhere on the trap. You don't really have to get the bottom. You can if you want it. If you spray this spray paint everywhere on the trap, it'll keep it from rusting, and you don't really have to wax these traps. You can just leave them how they are. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray paint these traps. Alright, that looks about good, this trap. It's completely black. Looks pretty nice. I'm going to go ahead and hang this up and let it dry. Alright guys, the traps are done drying. It only took about 7 minutes for these traps to dry. Not long at all. And that's the great thing about that spray paint. It dries very quickly. These traps are going to blend in very well with the ground if any of them get uncovered, which doesn't happen very much during trapping season. It's a very dark or dull black. It's not glossy at all. Very nice. Alright guys, this is the last step on preparing or treating your traps. And I've got a pot full of trapping wax here. You can get trapping wax off of Amazon or any other trapping website, really. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the trap in the wax and let the wax run over the trap. And the trap will actually get hot, so any excess wax on the trap will melt off, and there will be a nice even layer of wax on the trap. And the wax helps the trap not wax, you know, if you have it out in snow or rainy weather. So what you're going to need to do is get a nail and open these jaws. Just get a nail in between there so wax can go through the jaws and, you know, pretty much get everywhere on the trap. So we're just going to get the trap, put it in there, and I don't have enough wax to cover the whole trap, so we're going to have to, like, you know, flip it over a couple times just to get a nice even layer of wax on here. Alright, just like that. Gonna let that drip there for a sec, and then we'll take it out and hang it. And it's pretty cold out right now, so this wax should dry pretty quickly. Alright, we're gonna take this over and get it hung up and grab another trap. Alright, we've got the second trap here. We're just gonna try to push a nail in between those jaws to get them open. And we're going to get that nail down a little further. Okay, there we go. These are number 2 traps, so they're pretty strong. Okay, I'm going to drop that trap down there, like so. I'll try to move the camera up here so you guys can get a look at what I'm doing. Okay, so I really should have more trapping wax, but of course I don't, so we're just going to have to make do and just, you know, kind of roll it around in that trapping wax. Alright, there we go. Put that back in there. Alright. So like I said, we just want a nice even layer of wax on there. And if there's not, you can roll it back in there again, and it'll, like I said, it'll melt all the excess wax off of there. We're going to let that drip just a little bit. We're going to turn this burner off. Alright, the trap is good to go. We're going to go hang this back up. Alright, these traps are done drying now from being waxed. And you can see that the chains are a little bit stiff because they have wax on them. But you can just break that up. And the nail's still in there. You can just push those apart. Kind of hard to do. Take that nail out. You can do that with both traps. Might be a little stuck. Ouch. Alright, and once you got that out, everything's easy. And the dogs, these are these things right here. You can just break those up. because it's all covered in wax, trapping wax, so you're gonna have to loosen up some of the parts on it, like the pan. You're gonna have to loosen that up because it's gonna be stiff from all that wax on it. But otherwise, these traps are very nice. It has a almost perfect layer of wax on it everywhere on it, so that should be good all throughout trapping season. And usually when I catch an animal like a fox or something like that, they don't usually tear up the trap too bad, so usually I can use it all during trapping season and they don't even rust really. So anyway guys, that's about it. Well guys, I hope you liked this video. I hope it helped you out. If you like Outdoorsman videos, go ahead and subscribe and watch the Outdoorsman parody, which is right here. See you guys later.